Welcome back to my YouTube channel WC Coins. World today we are going to take a deep look at the 1961 5-cent coin, a fascinating piece of numismatic history that carries with it stories of design, minting, and circulation. In this video, we will explore every detail of the 1961 nickel, from its background and production to its value and significance for collectors. So stay with me as we uncover the complete history of this remarkable coin. The 1961 5-cent coin, known as the Jefferson nickel, holds a remarkable place in United States coinage history and continues to attract the attention of collectors and historians alike due to its design, its minting details, and the circumstances of its production during the early 1960s. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and was designed by Felix Schlag, whose work presented a profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello Jefferson's historic Virginia home on the reverse, a design that would remain on the coin for decades. By the time the 1961 issue was struck, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for over 2 decades, and while its design remained unchanged from Schlag's original creation, the year 1961 represented an important chapter in the continuing story of American coin production. The United States Mint struck the 1961 5-cent coin at 2 locations. The Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Coins from Philadelphia carried no mint mark, while coins struck in Denver bore the letter D to the right of Monticello on the reverse. Mint marks are especially important in identifying 1961 nickels because production numbers varied greatly between the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, and collectors pay close attention to the mintage figures when considering scarcity and value. In 1961, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 76 million Jefferson nickels, while the Denver Mint produced more than 283 million pieces. A massive difference that means most surviving examples today are Denver Mint coins. The Philadelphia coins of 1961 are often considered more desirable by collectors since their mintage is much smaller compared to Denver, and higher grade examples from Philadelphia are notably scarcer in uncirculated condition. The design of the obverse in 1961 still featured the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson as originally crafted by Felix Schlag, his hair tied back in a queue reflecting 18th century style, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1961 surrounding the portrait. On the reverse, the central feature was Monticello Jefferson's neoclassical home, designed by the president himself and carefully rendered in Schlag's design, though some critics over the years have commented that the original detail of the house was not deeply struck and often appears flat on circulating coins. Another important detail in the 1961 nickel series is the quality of planchets and dies. During this era, the mint was under pressure to produce huge quantities of coinage to keep up with economic demand, and quality control was not always as strict as collectors would have preferred. This resulted in many coins with die cracks, die clashes, or other minor minting issues which, though seen as imperfections in circulation, have become collectible as varieties or errors for modern numismatists. Some collectors actively seek out 1961 Jefferson nickel errors, including off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, and other anomalies that add both rarity and interest to the series. Double die obverse or reverses for 1961 nickels, though scarce, can be found with careful searching, and such varieties are cataloged by specialized collectors and can be worth far more than a normal strike. The repunched mint mark, or RPM, varieties from Denver are particularly intriguing since each mint mark was still hand-punched into the die in 1961, creating the possibility for overlapping or doubled demint marks. These RPM varieties have been listed in reference works and are carefully attributed by specialists who enjoy documenting every detail of the minting process for the Jefferson nickel series. Beyond errors and varieties, the historical value of the 1961 nickel lies in its representation of mid-20th century America, a time when coinage was beginning to face challenges of rising minting costs and changes in design, but still retained traditional motifs. By the early 1960s, collectors were beginning to take a stronger interest in Jefferson nickels as part of the hobby of coin collecting. expanded during a nationwide boom in the United States. The 1961 5-cent coin became part of countless coin folders, albums, and collections, as hobbyists searched circulation for dates and mint marks, often beginning their numismatic journey with the familiar Jefferson nickel series. The sheer mintage of the 1961 Denver issue ensured that millions would remain in circulation for decades. And even today, examples can still occasionally be found in pocket change, though most are heavily worn. Philadelphia issues, in particular, were often overlooked by the public and, as a result, relatively few high-grade examples have survived, making them a target for advanced collectors seeking a more complete and challenging Jefferson nickel collection. In the grading system used by numismatists, 1961 nickels and mint state grades from MS-60 to MS-65 are common, but coins grading MS-66 or higher are rare and command strong premiums, especially with full step designation. Professional coin grading services such as PCGS and NGC have certified many 1961 nickels, but their population reports clearly show the rarity of top graded full step examples, which explains their desirability. The inscriptions on the reverse included Monticello above the building, 5 cents beneath it, United States of America around the rim, and E pluribus unum above, all of these maintaining the traditional style of American coin inscriptions. The alloy of the 1961 5-cent coin was the same standard composition, used since 1866, being 75% copper and 25% nickel with a weight of 5 grams and a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. This copper-nickel combination was chosen for durability and has proven successful, as Jefferson nickels from 1961 still survive in large numbers, despite over 60 years of circulation, with many coins retaining considerable detail. When we consider the historical context of the 1961 nickel, it is important to remember that the United States was entering a period of rapid social and economic change. The presidency of John F. Kennedy had just begun, and coins like the Jefferson nickel were quietly accompanying Americans in everyday life. Nickels of 1961 circulated widely in commerce, being used in vending machines, payphones, transportation, and millions of small daily transactions, and as a result, many of the surviving examples show heavy wear and contact marks. For collectors, the search for high-quality, uncirculated examples of the 1961 nickel, especially from the Philadelphia Mint, can be challenging since so many were spent and relatively few were preserved in pristine rolls or bags. Proof coins were also struck in 1961 exclusively at the Philadelphia Mint. These proof nickels were carefully produced with polished dies and planchets, resulting in mirror-like fields and sharp details, which today are highly sought after by numismatists. Proof sets of 1961 contained one of each circulating denomination, including the 5-cent coin, and many of these sets have survived intact, although some have been broken apart by collectors who sought to obtain individual proof nickels. One important aspect of the 1961 nickel series is strike quality. Many examples, particularly from the Denver Mint, show weakness in the detail of Monticello, where the steps appear soft or incomplete, making fully struck examples known as full-step nickels rare and desirable. The full steps designation is especially important in Jefferson nickel collecting, since a coin with 5 or 6 clearly defined steps on Monticello commands a much higher premium, and 1961 is a year in which true full-step nickels are very difficult to locate. Collectors who pursue registry sets or high-grade collections often pay significant amounts for certified full-step nickels of 1961, and these can sometimes be worth hundreds of dollars depending on grade and condition. The Denver Mint coins are more common overall, but they tend to show more striking weakness, which makes them challenging to find with full steps. Philadelphia coins, while fewer in number, are still difficult in this regard, but can sometimes show better detail. When we look at the role of the 1961 nickel in American life, it reminds us that coins are not merely pieces of metal, but also cultural artifacts that tell stories about the economy, art, and everyday experience of their era. The 1961 Jefferson nickel embodies both continuity and transition. Continuity in the sense that it carried forward Schlag's original 1938 design, and transition in that it represents a period just before major changes in American coinage. That would arrive later in the 1960s. For example, only a few years later in 1965, the United States would alter the composition of its silver coins, ending a long tradition, and although the nickel's composition remained the same, the period surrounding 1961 marked an important shift in American coinage policy. Thus, the 1961 nickel can be viewed not only as a collectible, but also as a marker of historical events, providing a tangible connection to a time of change in the United States. Collectors today continue to value the 1961 5-cent coin whether in circulated condition, as part of a date and mint mark set in proof condition for its beauty, or in rare, full-step mint state grades for its scarcity and prestige. Ultimately, the 1961 Jefferson nickel remains a fascinating study in design production, mint mark history, and collector value, standing as one of the many chapters in the long and continuing story of American coinage treasured by those who appreciate its history and significance. Thank you for watching today's detailed journey into the history of the 1961 5-cent coin. I hope you enjoyed learning about its design, its mint marks, and its place in American coinage history. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to WC Coins World so you never miss more fascinating stories about rare and historic coins. I will be back soon with another coin and more history. Until then, take care and keep collecting.